The program is still this morning on ITV, bringing us to the first segment on today's program. Here we shall be looking at aviation on ITV, and of course an aviation freak, a man who has gone far and wide on aviation programs and events in some part of America, Asia and Europe. He also doubles as an estate surveyor and valuer, Mr. Godwin Ike. Very good morning to you.
All right, good morning, Joe.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. And my great viewers, welcome to the program.
Okay, quickly, the topic for today's discussion is flight stall. You want to know what flight stall is, what causes flight stall, how it can be redeemed, and if not, what happens to the flight. Now, Mr. Aviation Freak, let's start quickly with you telling us what is flight stall.
Right. A plane is said to be stalled even when the engines are working perfectly well. It just stops flying in the air and vertically drops out of the sky because of loss of airspeed. Now, using this beautiful, flyable miniature here. this machine you see flies at great speed, right? Using this, one of the factors that can slow you down, even when your engines are working, is when what is known in aviation as angle of attack. That is when you are on high pitch. Very high pitch, and you create a high angle of attack, which is an acute angle, from a reference point, between the vector, which is if you are moving this way, or any reference line, and a body is moving through a medium, either fluid, that's water, or air current. All right. That separation you have from that current, for instance, if an airplane is moving normally, taking a reference line from this airfoil, that's the wing, and the wind is flowing right there, you will notice that from that reference line to the point of contact of the wind is quite a small angle. All right. If for any reason something pushes this aircraft to such a high pitch, what do you find? The angle, you see that the wind now moves further away, separating itself from this wing. So that angle becomes higher and goes beyond acceptable limit. And the effect it has on this aircraft is that the airspeed of this aircraft will drastically reduce, even when the engines are blasting away, but the plane just stops, moving in the air. If you don't quickly correct by bringing down your pitch in order to gain airspeed, it gets to a point where the speed of the aircraft becomes too slow to keep it in the sky. Every designed and manufactured aircraft has a minimum speed that keeps it in the air. Now, once your speed in the air reduces to that minimum, you begin to have, of course, systems are built in the aircraft in terms of chimes, in terms of shaking, to let you know that you are about to stall. Now, if the pilot realizes quickly that he's lost so much airspeed and stall is setting in, and he does what he needs to do, which is, if you have height advantage, push on your stick to get a dive, put full power, gain speed, and then pull to level off, and then begin once again to rise in the air.
What if you now reduce the speed to descend a little so that you won't stall? What if at that process the speed becomes too much for you to control and you just lose dive?
No. That's why I say you must have height advantage to redeem yourself from a stall. If you don't have height advantage and the plane stalls and begins to drop vertically, you are doomed. No solution. That plane must crash. But let's quickly explain a few things to our viewers so that you would know what, how this machine operates in the air. An average fixed wing aircraft has got 6-dimensional movements, 6 of them. Pitch down, which is controlled by the elevators. The elevators have found those small plates that you found here moving up and down. Those are the elevators. The name elevator is misleading. It gives you the impression that those plates elevate the aircraft, but no, it's not true. They only change the pitch of the aircraft up and down. Elevation actually takes place only on the wings. All right? But anyway, manufacturers and aviators call those 2 plates that give you the pitch up, pitch down as elevators. All right? Now, one movement, pitch down, pitch up. We have 2 now, isn't it? Then roll left, roll right. Those rolls are created by little plates you find at the tip of the wings, depending on the model of the aircraft. Sometimes you find them at the inner part, moving up and down, changing the pressure, the air pressure on the 2 wings. So what happens is that if the plate on the right wing pushes down, it increases the pressure on the right wing, and simultaneously the little plate called aileron, those plates are called ailerons. All right? And then simultaneously this other one goes up, reducing the pressure on the wing pressure on this wing. So when you have high pressure here, low pressure there, naturally by aerodynamic principles the plane banks for you. All right? And I'm going to tell you, that banking does not necessarily amount to changing direction. An aircraft can actually be in a banking position and maintain a straight course. Now, that's where you have the 5th and the 6th dimensional movements of the aircraft, the yaw, Y-A-W, the yaw. All right? That is produced by another plate, usually here, that move left and right, and that is called the rudder. The rudder. As a matter of fact, pilots, if they're flying manually, apply the rudder effect with the pedals on their legs. The pedals on their legs. While the ailerons, are activated by the use of your joystick. Okay, and of course, the elevators, the one that give you the pitch up, pitch down, are also activated by joystick. I mean, if you pull, that's when you get an upward pitch, and then if you push, that's when you get a downward pitch. Right? And then if you move the joystick to your left, you get your left bank. You take it to the right, you get your right bank. Okay? That's how it works. So these are the 6-dimensional movements of an average aircraft in the air. I repeat it: pitch down, pitch up, roll left, roll right, yaw left, yaw right. Now, there's a trick there. You can't have an aircraft moving balanced and then you apply a yaw. Centrifugal forces will tear that aircraft into shreds.
Why?
Because that force exists, and I explained to you the centrifugal force. Do you remember that when you're riding a bicycle or a motorbike, through a corner, if you do not bend yourself towards that corner, the likelihood is that you're going to crash out of the road. The natural act of bending yourself along with the motorbike to take a turn is to compensate for that force that is coming from the end of that corner to push you out of the road. That it's known as centrifugal forces. All right? That force is so awesome that if you do a yaw of an aircraft without banking, that the force of centrifugal would tear the aircraft into shreds. So in order to adjust for the centrifugal force, you first of all get a bank, all right, within an acceptable angle. Especially for passengers jet, you are not allowed to do too much of a bank. There's an acceptable, of course, the turn coordinators on the PFD, the primary flight display, shows the pilot that he's attained a safe angle of banking. That's where you have your coordinators there, and of course all the equipment on the screen for the pilot to see what he's doing and do it right and safely. Okay, so when you get a bank, then step on your pedal, the rudder now gives you a yaw. That's when you change direction in the air. And this all done smoothly and nicely. So let's get back very quickly to the topic of the day, which is the air stall. And I'm going to tell you a quick story of what happened in 2009, and after that I will show you a clip of a stall and crash caught by dashboard camera in a car in Afghanistan that had to do with a C-130 of the America. And I'll tell you why that plane, after you've seen the clip, I'll tell you why it crashed. But let me tell you a story of what happened quickly. When Air France in 2009 was heading out of Brazil over the Atlantic, heading to Paris, Charles de Gaulle Airport, and something terrible went on in that aircraft. The experienced captain in charge of that aircraft had turned off his de-icing equipment. There is this heating system that you have connected through all the movable membranes of the aircraft, constantly heating and preventing ice from building up around those movable parts of the air. Up there is ice cold. Yes. Very ice cold up there, right? But somehow, sometimes, pilots, in order to conserve power, turn off the de-icing system. After some time, if they think they are building up unacceptable level of ice, they turn them on again. This time around, very unfortunately, the captain turned off his de-icing and then got up to go and ease himself, leaving a relatively inexperienced first officer in charge watching the equipment. As a matter of fact, at the time in question, the plane was on auto. He had already attained his cruising level and put in an auto, and the plane was nicely, heading on his way to Paris. But the turning of the icing system caused the elevators there to build up ice, and so the elevator was caught in what they call a negative position, driving an aircraft that was already cruising into a high pitch. Driving it into a high pitch,
and that high pitch is a sign of stall.
No, drastically, the high pitch caused reduction in airspeed. And because of lack of relativity, when you are sitting in an aircraft tearing away at 950 kilometers an hour, it's about 500 knots. All right, nautical miles. I don't want to bug you with those terminologies. That's how speed is measured in aviation. But that is an average of about 500 knots, an average of about 950 kilometers an hour. When an aircraft is tearing away at that speed, because of lack of relativity, you sit in the aircraft, you don't even know it's moving. I'm sure you've flown severally and you don't even know it's moving. The same way, if that aircraft slows down to 200 kilometers an hour, you won't feel the difference. You won't even know you are doing such a low speed. You won't feel it. because of lack of relativity. You're not relating the movement of that aircraft to anything on your side, or
Not wind,
nothing.
Or what you can see, just blue skies.
That's correct. So it's tricky. If you don't keep your eye on your speedometer, you would not know that your speed has come down so drastically until the check system built into the aircraft, which is vibration of your sticks, they call it the stick shaker, or chimes in form of alarms, going off, or voice attenuator telling you that you are heading to a stall speed.
Just giving you sign that all is not well.
That's correct. But look at what happened to that airline, and that's why I'm bringing you this story. And a relatively inexperienced first officer was sitting right there in the cockpit, while his experienced old hand, the captain, stepped out of the cockpit to go and ease himself. And then eyes built and sent an aircraft that was flying normally suddenly into a high pitch, drastically in a few seconds, reducing the speed to a stall level. Because the young man that was sitting in that cockpit lacked the knowledge and experience of what to do, he saw himself, losing altitude. Rather than push his joystick to take a dive and gain some speed and level off again. Now, look at that. Look at the pitch on the screen. That is a video that I have for you to show you. Can you see the elevators coming up and down at the tail of the aircraft, giving you down pitch and up pitch? Can you see that? As one goes, as it goes up, it takes you up. As the plate goes down, rather as it goes down, it takes you up, and as it comes up, it brings you down. You understand? Now let's see leave the pitch and go to the road. I think my viewers need to see this.
Now, the question I would like to ask here is, how long does it take for the ice to build around that?
It depends on the weather is so treacherous that you can never trust it. The weather is absolutely very treacherous, and you can't trust it. It can swing anything at you at any time. I mean, if the captain who had stepped out in the French airline I was talking about. Anyway, quickly let me end that story so that we'll see this. The plane now began to stalled. The engines were working well, but the airplane just stopped.
What we have then is roll.
That's a roll. Can you see the ailerons? Simultaneously, as one is coming up on one side, the other one is going down on the other side. Can you see that? As the left wing goes down, the right wing comes up simultaneously, giving you the left and right roll. Give us very quickly the yaw so that we can move on with our stories. Give us the yaw very quickly. Yes, that's the yaw. Can you see the plate at the tail there? That's the rudder. The rudder moving left and right at the tail. That's what's giving you your yaw. Now we are done with the 6-dimensional movement of an average aircraft. So coming back to the story of the crash of the Air France, the inexperienced young man continued to pull on his stick, driving the aircraft further into a high angle of attack and slowing it down to virtually speed 0. As the captain noticed while he was easing himself that something was wrong because everywhere was beginning to vibrate. From his experience, he knew they were running into a stall. He struggled and ran into the cockpit, took his seat. Unfortunately, they had gotten to a drop. Now, had he had a presence of mind, he had 3 minutes. 3 minutes in such a situation is like 3 light years in aviation. He had enough time to do something. But what did we hear in the cockpit recorder after that crash that slaughtered over 300 passengers, and including the pilot and his co-pilot and everybody else? He just kept lamenting, "Oh, we are crashing. oh, we're going to crash. Oh, we are falling out of the sky. Oh, that's all that he kept lamenting. He had 3 minutes to do something. 3 light years to do something. Or he needed to do at that time, as soon as he took charge, was switch on very quickly his de-icing to heat up. That would have gotten the heating on in less than 30 seconds, and that would have released the ice on his elevators. Push on the stick, on his joystick, send the aircraft on pitch down with high speed, gain enough speed of about 300 or 400 knots, and then pull back on his stick, level off, and start his rise again into the sky. But he didn't do that. All he did was lament and lament and lament.
Well, maybe due to shock.
Yes, due to shock. Due to shock. I understand that.
Of course, he left it at a cruising level.
That's right.
All was well when he
That's correct.
The cockpit.
That's right.
Believing that his first officer would do something, whatever, anything that arises, he believed that the first
and the young man was just busy pulling as the airplane was struggling to stay in the air and slowing down very badly. Rather than push, the young man was busy pulling and screaming until his captain came. The captain that should have helped kept lamenting until they crashed and killed everyone.
From what you have explained so far, it means that it can be redeemed
if you have height advantage.
Within that 3 minutes, if the main pilot wasn't confused,
that's right,
he would have redeemed that.
That's correct.
Aircraft from
that's correct. He would have redeemed it. I mean, those elevators were stuck in a negative position, sending the aircraft into a high pitch, which was what led to this slowdown in airspeed until it got to a stall speed and began to drop vertically out of the sky. If he had the presence of mind and wasn't panicking too much, he should have just turned on his de-icing equipment. While that is doing his job, he will continue to push on his stick until his elevator reacted. And as soon as the elevator reacted, he should have had a diving low pitch, which would have sent the aircraft gaining speed in the air. Before he got close to waters, he would pull back, level off the aircraft, and then begin.
But how often does it happen?
Not too often.
In the last 2 decades.
They've had a couple of, even in Nigeria here, we've had a store bring down an aircraft and others. The point is, pilots must have presence of mind and not panic too much when there is a challenge. Like I said to you last Monday, weather is very treacherous. You can't trust it. It can switch anything on you, and that's so. Please, let's look at that clip that has to do with life stall, and I'll show you what I've just demonstrated here. An aircraft that was caught live in Afghanistan when it stalled and came down and crashed. Here it is. Watch that aircraft up the screen. Can you see how high? Can you see? And then it loses airspeed, and that's it. This is live. That crash killed a wealthy American arms supplier and his wife and 5 others. 7 of them lost their lives in that crash. And what led to that crash was that the plane was carrying tanks, military tanks, in its belly. Unfortunately, the last tank at the tail of it, towards the tail, was not hooked on properly because they were all chained and hooked not to move. But the last one was not properly hooked. So as the plane took off from that airport in Afghanistan, the last tank that was not properly hooked rolled to the tail of the aircraft. And tanks are very heavy. Those military tanks are very heavy. And then it pushed down the tail of the aircraft, keeping it on a high pitch and reducing an aircraft that was just taking off. And then pilots struggled to correct what was going on. But it was impossible to correct because the weight.
But with that clip, it really shows that There was no height.
No height advantage. There was nothing to do. As soon as the aircraft stalled, it was doomed. It had to crash, and it crashed. And that was it. But something shocked me.
But the blame may be on those people that loaded the tank.
That's correct. Somebody was careless. Look at it again. Somebody was careless. And that thing was caught live by a dashboard camera, the sort I have in my car, you know, that was flying on that road when that aircraft came down. You know, that was why that was caught live.
So, but before we go, let's take your final, teaching on this.
Very well. I want to say to you that, Joe, I want to say to you that I was shocked when that French crash took place in 2009, and pilots were interviewed at Charles de Gaulle Airport in France. And the young pilot said to his interviewers that nobody taught them about angle of attack and stall in the aviation school. It gave me shock that nobody taught them that, you know, the need to keep the pitch of the aircraft down. I was shocked. A young pilot, a French guy, you know, confessed that much. And you begin to wonder, you know, during the training of pilots, I hope they are told everything that they need to know. But having said that...
Well, you know, the training of pilots is training and retraining all the time.
That's correct.
For training.
Very correct.
And some of these errors, most time, are corrected, just like we are doing now. For anyone who wants to go into what do you call it now, School of Aviation, in Zara or elsewhere in the world, of course, we know the difference between this movement and what he or she needs to do when the pitch is this
too high.
Yeah. But the only way out will be that the person has height advantage. Otherwise,
if you have height advantage, you can try to redeem the situation.
Yes.
But if you do not have height advantage, at least a minimum of 30,000 feet above the sea level, if you're anywhere lower and your aircraft stalls, the point is that when it stalls and begins to come down vertically, there is no end to that drop. Even if you push your power to the full and your engines are busy blasting away, that aircraft, nothing. That aircraft, as soon as it starts dropping off the air, must complete the drop, either on land or on water. That's the sad thing about
that is much we can take on this discussion segment. If you can roll that profile out, I'll appreciate. The discussion has been with an aviation freak, a man, of course, who has gone far and wide on the issue of aviation in America, some part of Asia and Europe, and here we are discussing aviation. Stay with us. Next week, same time, we'll also bring out another interesting topic on aviation. Quite a lot you need to know when it comes to the issue of aviation. Mr. Godwin, thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. My great viewers, you can see that time is never our friend on this program. We would like to extend the time, but it requires some sponsorship. Thank you very much.
Okay, until come your way again, the program this morning on ITV continues after this break.
This is a place where you met different people.
Yes.
You met people who are experts in this, experts in that.
The drug dealer and the drug user, they are both addicts. One is addicted to the substance, the other is addicted to the money.
When I was 3 years old,
Yeah.
my uncle called me sometime into his room. I couldn't see their faces.
Oh my God.
I couldn't hold them.
Did the doctors tell you what actually led to the death?